about introducing the icons to your students. So when a moment comes that you are ready to start sharing them with your students, you might be wondering, how do I get started though? How do I introduce the icons? So we're going to look at two options today, both a written and a speaking based option for variety, and to help your students practice both of those skills. So the very first one we are going to talk about is introducing the icons through discussion. So we're going to take a moment here and actually go through this process together of what this might look like to introduce the icons with a discussion in your classroom. So I want you to take a look at these photos and think about the scientific phenomenon and concepts present here. And then maybe referencing your cheat sheet if you still want to take a look at that and are getting familiar with the icons. Um, Drop in the chat for us, what icon would you use to facilitate a discussion or a lesson about this weather? What thinking process would you want the students to be looking at this lesson through the lens of? Oh, okay. Zeta says, I would use rules to establish how different pressure system and fronts must occur for this type of weather. Excellent. It's fascinating. Multiple perspectives. How do different people in different places prepare for what's coming? That's excellent, Catherine. Elizabeth would use details. Erin says change over time and convergence. Ooh, I like that you gave two, Erin. Excellent. All wonderful ideas. Language of the discipline. What vocabulary would describe this? Parallels, change over time. Yes, definitely. The patterns in the clouds. Excellent. Change over time. Yes. Patterns. What causes the storm repeatedly? Origin. What causes the event? Trends. What will this cause? Excellent. So these are all fantastic answers. And we could have, with however many, a dozen different answers you guys have given, we could have a dozen different discussions, which again, just highlights that differentiation piece that the icons unlock and that make it so fun and so enriching for the students. And then as we're seeing, there are really no wrong thinking lenses to look at these through. Every student, every learner is going to pick which one makes sense to them in that moment and take it in that direction. And that is the differentiation happening. And none of it's wrong because it's all connected to the heart of the learning. So those are great ideas. Thank you for sharing those, y'all. So as we're seeing here, you guys just gave all of those great answers. And in the moment in a lesson, what I would have done is say, oh, great, change over time. That's an awesome idea. Go ahead and tell me more about that. And then just like you guys were sharing your thoughts and justifying your icon, we would facilitate that discussion in class and start to let students work through that. If you wanted, as you were beginning to still teach the icons, you could tell the students, maybe let's start with these three icons, and then you tell me which you would pick, or however it is that you want to scaffold it in, and kind of support your learners with where they're at in the icons, etc. So we could do this exact same process of introducing the icons to our students through discussion with a variety of topics. We could facilitate this lesson about the seasons. We could facilitate a class discussion on factors of Rome's border collapse. And here the teacher did go ahead and give them a little bit of a structure and a guide. They picked the icons that they wanted the students to examine the image through. So students would then be sharing their thoughts through the lenses of those icons. And it could be just a quick little note beforehand of with your kiddos, oh, convergence means, what things came together to create this, what factors were involved. And contribution means what did it contribute to or what contributed to it. And there you go. A quick little intro, and then the students can start unlocking their learning and having that discussion. We could talk about the flight of a rocket, some trajectory here. And this one even starts to loop in some of the pieces of thinking like a disciplinarian, one of the other pieces of the framework we mentioned back at the beginning, where we look at how multiple different professionals and disciplinarians in a field or different fields might think about the same topic differently. So you could have them specifically start to discuss from that lens of different opinions. We could facilitate a discussion on the rules needed to solve an equation. We could look at another math example here. So you're continuing to facilitate in a math class. Okay, so we've kind of talked about what that means to introduce them using discussion and start to have students connect the thinking pathways of the icons to the content and whatever particular stimulus you're asking them to examine. But when might we use discussions? We can use them just there as we were analyzing and maybe introducing a concept. We could do it to solicit responses and get the students engaged in content, maybe in the middle of a lesson, or as you're kind of winding down the lesson. They do offer a lot of choice in learning, which is another wonderful piece. because that differentiation really is often born out of the choice piece. You can use them as a review, um, and plenty of other ways that are going to occur to you. Maybe even right now, you're already thinking of summer in the moment in a lesson. You might say, "Oh, I can use this here," or "Oh, I'm going to have this small group of students that have maybe ability groups, and I want them to go discuss, and I'm going to give them this as their prompt to say, hey, have a discussion about the text that we read to get today through these four icons or any icons of your choice."